too soon.
I'm a little too soon.
Yeah.
Isn't it about 10 till?
Yep.
Well, I have 5 till. Oh, what happened to the clock? The clock has moved.
Just be very, very, very careful.
Where's the clock, hon?
I don't know yet.
Oh, here it is.
Be very, very, very careful.
Why do we have to have that there?
Because it runs this.
Okay. All right. Now, where can I put this? Can we put this right here?
No. Here. Right here. Will that work? Will this work?
Yeah.
And remember, never mind. Okay, we are live streaming right now. That's what's going out.
We're live.
That's what's going out.
Okay. Can they hear us?
No. So now I need you to put this on.
Yeah. Welcome. I'm Connie Shaw, and this is my husband, Jim Wright. Today, we're going to do quantum gazing, have a brief 10-minute meditation, and a brief workshop. Now, in these very intense times, many people are asking, what is the purpose of life on Earth? Is there a divine plan for me? And if so, what is it? How can I have a more meaningful life? What roles does selfless service play in the divine drama of life on Earth? Well, the purpose of life on Earth is to know ourselves as divinity and to finally experience that we are divine and that all are divine. Jim and I are so excited about the benefits that we've received from taking a profound new online course on this topic of self-realization that we want to mention it before we start gazing in just a moment. The Master of the Mind course by Sadhguru Sri Madhusudan Sai in Mudanahalli, South India, which is free online, is designed specifically for self-realization. It outlines how to keep the mind in check in order to experience liberation from the egoic mind, and thereby how to learn to live in bliss while still in the world, and also how to overcome the fear of death. Thousands of people are taking this course and applying the simple practices. They find that they're experiencing continual spiritual revelations, and they're eating, sleeping, and talking less. Further, they notice in this free course that their minds are becoming extremely sharp at problem solving and that they don't get upset by current events. This wonderful course, Master the Mind, helps us to learn the skill of reframing or putting people and situations in a positive context of truth so that we become the witness of life and don't react in fear to dramatic events. We learn how to observe the mind thinking, how to have equanimity, and how to be detached from the snares or temptations of the world, of the mind, and the senses.
Now, you probably would like to know how to find this course. You find it by going to YouTube, and in the search field of YouTube itself, you put Master the Mind, and up should come 30 different episodes of the Master the Mind course. I suggest that you start with episode 2, go to 3, 4, 5, etc., but begin with episode 2. So you could probably also Google or do a search for YouTube Master the Mind to get there. But either way, you can find it. It's a wonderful 30-day long course or 30-episode course. You can spread it out however you like. Okay.
Now, in gazing in particular, people can call out, Lord, reveal yourself to me. Now, Lord. I want to see you, to feel you, to hear you. Lord, I must feel you now. And we have a chart for that. Lord, reveal yourself to me. Now, Jim is going to take us into the induction to quantum gazing, and we're going to do something new. We're going to use field 110 or 110 by author and international teacher Melissa Joy Johnson. And we're going to intend that we're claiming our true authentic power, or TAP, true authentic power, as we inhale 3 times, breathing in our authentic power and exhaling it out into the universe from our heart as well as a mouth. Of course, everything is divine and we're divine, so as we take in this pranic energy, then we're also just sending it to people everywhere. All right. Field 110, true authentic power.
So if you're sitting off the floor, please put your feet flat on the floor and place your hands in a face-up position down in your lap. And let's begin by breathing in 3 times while thinking of field 110, true authentic power. Let's breathe in and out. Breathe in, field 110, true authentic power. And breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. Now, as we prepare for gazing, you can get 3 or 4 wishes or intentions in mind for yourself or your loved ones. Typically, they have to do with any of many subject types, the first being your body and your health. And these can be things you'd like to have improved in your body and health, or things you'd like to have go away regarding your body and your health, like pains or bunions or things like that, or arthritis. They can also have to do with your spiritual life and your life purpose, your relationships with anyone in your life, whether it be at family or at work or anyone else. They can have to do with your finances and your job and your career, with your leadership roles, with your selfless service activities. They can have to do with anything at all. So take a few moments and get these wishes very, very clearly in your minds. When you're gazing, just look into Connie's eyes with a soft, unfocused look. There's no need to stare intently. There's no need to try to transfer energy back and forth. And while you're gazing, and most of you already know this, allow your mind to become blank. Let your thinking stop. If you notice yourself thinking, notice thoughts in your mind, just notice it and go back to empty mind.
And Jim is doing gazing today too. He's a bit shy to mention that, so I'll mention it for him.
Now, we always do a breathing exercise in preparation for gazing involving our mind and our spiritual heart center, located right in the middle of our chest. Our consciousness, we allow it to drop down, our consciousness into our spiritual heart center. And I and many others have found that the very instant that that happens, we're able to make a connection, a very strong connection, with some person that we may be focusing on, and that they will feel that connection actually happening. You can do this yourself at any time. You don't have to be at one of our gazing sessions. You can do this exercise and focus on someone and make that strong connection with them. So let's do that all together right now. Let's breathe in deeply, raise your shoulders up towards your ears. Now, breathe out and imagine your consciousness dropping down into your spiritual heart center. And at the bottom of your breath, notice how it feels to have your consciousness there in your heart center. It's a particular feeling that you get, and you're making that connection. Let's do that one more time. Let's breathe in deeply, shoulders up towards your ears. Big breath out, consciousness down into your spiritual heart center, making that connection, noticing how that feels. Now let's imagine our consciousness opening out into the universe, connecting with our idea of the quantum field of love, and feeling that warmth and caring and compassion of the quantum field of love. And now you can come back and open your eyes. If you have any photos, this would be the time to hold them up, or they may be just on your floor in front of you, and that's fine too. So let's begin gazing now. The masters have been with us ever since you came into the room today. They may have been with you longer than that, starting earlier in the day or even yesterday. That's all possible. Now, they have told Connie, as most of you know, that they would like to continue working intensively with all of us for another 10 minutes while we meditate. Now, it doesn't matter if you're not a meditator, don't worry about that. You can just close your eyes and enjoy the silence for this brief 10-minute period. Connie and I will leave the screen, but the workshop will continue following the meditation. So we'll be back shortly. We'll begin with 3 ohms, and when we come out of meditation, we'll share in 3 shantis. I've got a red light here.
So
Well, I'm going to lean over close to you to talk because
Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Now, when you feel like it, you may open your eyes and note down your experiences. This is a good time for that while they're still fresh in your mind. While we're coming back to the room and you're opening your eyes, we'd like to give our usual disclaimer that we're not medical doctors or we're not healers, and we don't diagnose or cure, and any educational information that we share with you having to do with health is purely educational and for entertainment purposes only. God is the doer. All right, most of you should be back with us right now. One point we'd like to make, and we have a chart on this, is that we are not victims. Humans are not victims. We're divine. There are no victims. There are only people learning lessons. As we said earlier, the topic of this session is focus and resolve. And with that in mind, I'd like to share with you some teaching stories about Jim and myself and a few other people whereby we put this skill set into practice, focus and resolve. Now, when we first started going to South India many years ago, there were very few Westerners there, and there were only 2 or 3 lines for darshan. We sat outside on the sand, and it was quite challenging, to say the very least. There were very few buildings. Most of the people lived in thatched huts with an earthen floor and 4 poles holding up the particular roof, and where there were buildings, cement square buildings with flat roofs, there were no window. Well, there were window openings, but there was no glass in the town. And where there were doors, there were no wooden closures for the doors. It was just an opening or some fabric hanging down between the people inside and those walking by on the street. Now, I'm just telling you this because it was a challenge for Westerners and obviously a challenge for the local people, but they had had more experience in dealing with the conditions. People had to sleep under mosquito nets if they had them to avoid getting bitten by mosquitoes and developing malaria. The first person that we met who was a Westerner, when we first went to Puttaparthi, South India, to Prashanti Nilayam, the abode of highest peace, was a woman named Maria from Budapest, Hungary. She was a tall, stunning brunette, lovely person, very, very accomplished in many ways. And she told us in the canteen one day that she was renting a tiny cement one-room cottage at the end of town for a year. It had a little bathroom and her bedroom, living room. That was it. She also told us that she was accustomed to difficult living circumstances and that she had been a child survivor of the Hungarian Revolution long ago in the 50s. So she really felt that it would be no problem for her to come alone as a single woman to India, to Sai Baba's ashram, and she was thrilled to be able to rent this little tiny house on the edge of town. Now, one day she came into the canteen and she was looking very distraught and pale, as if she had just suffered some tremendous shock. So I said, "Maria, what happened? You look so pale. It looks as if something has upset you. What is it?" And she said, "Oh, yes. You know, I had my plastic bucket doing my laundry, as I always do my laundry in the bucket, and I had squeezed out the washing and had stepped outside to my clothesline to hang the washing up on the clothesline, and just as I was grabbing a clothespin, a gigantic scorpion stung me on the hand, and my arm swelled up to twice its size, alarmingly, and it was very shocking. So I was very angry with that scorpion and flicked him off of the clothesline and said, "Leave this area. Don't ever come back. Don't ever come back." And just as that happened, and she had chased him away, she felt that she needed to go lie down and rest. It was such a shock. So she asked Sai Baba, please reduce the swelling in my arm. And then eventually, without his coming to her, long distance, he healed her without any medication or treatment or whatever. He just healed her. But she was still lying down and resting, and her heart was beating very fast. Suddenly, there was a rustling near the floor level where the drain pipe came into her house. It was a metal drain pipe that led into her room from outside. As she looked at the drain pipe, she saw emerging from it the head and neck of a cobra slither out of the drain into the room. Well, she quickly looked around for something to kill the cobra, and being nonviolent, she felt terrible about that. But then she saw a brick which she had been using as a doorstop. So she quietly bent down, asked the cobra to forgive her, and picked up the brick. And she said, I'm sorry, Brother Cobra, it's you or me. You have to go. So she very carefully aimed the brick right near the cobra's head, and with great focus and resolve, she dropped it smack on the cobra's head, sending him to cobra heaven. Then she started sobbing, wondering what she was doing living alone as a single woman in a simple hut in India, surrounded by wild animals, scorpions and cobras. And then finally she broke down. Oh Lord, I can't take this anymore, she cried. Then there was a knock at the door, and her friend Shanti had come for a quick visit with a message from Sai Baba for Maria. Oh, Maria, I'm so excited at what happened, she said. You'll never believe it. Just now, as I was in my room, Baba appeared to me in a subtle body, and he said, go over to your trunk of saris and lift up the lid. Now, you have more dresses than you can ever wear, and you never wear the dresses in this trunk. They're all brand new. They're in perfect condition. I'd like to ask you a favor. I want you to take 6 of them right now and rush over to Maria's house. She's just had 2 bad scares and a very difficult day. She's thinking of leaving India. She's crying. I want you to take these dresses and tell her that I love her, I have protected her, and I always will, just as I love, guide, guard, and protect all spiritual people everywhere. And I will always protect all of you as the eyelid guards the eye. So please rush these dresses over now. Give her my message and be sure to tell her I'm sorry that she's had such a difficult day. I hope she'll stay and that I love her. Well, Maria was laughing now and said, you see, the thing is that the Lord knows everything we're doing all the time. And her eyes were shining and sparkling as she was telling us all this. She said he knows all of our tests and trials, and he lets us meet them. It could be karmic tests and trials. He lets us meet them to get stronger, and he also knows our other needs better than we do. He knows the exact right time to send a gift or to send a friend or to give us some word of encouragement so that we'll get over our shocks and frights and be strong, stand in our own divinity, and just be able to move on through life. Well, I'm over the shock of the scorpion and the cobra, and I've decided to stay in India. And I feel very proud of myself, even though I had to be violent, and I don't like to be. I was able to take care of that cobra and to chase off the poisonous scorpion. And look, my arm is down to normal now. So I trust that the Lord was my protector and my doctor as well. All of this was due to his grace.
Now,
Well, yes, Jim is going to tell you something now about snakes.
on that same trip, on one of the first days that we were there, I managed to scrape my leg. And as you may understand, in such a rudimentary kind of place, things can get infected pretty easily. And that's in fact what seems to have happened to that injury of my lower leg. It turned red within a day or two, and the red patch got bigger and bigger, and then some lines started coming out of it, going up my leg, up my thigh. And after about a week, I told Connie, I said, we need to get in a cab and go to the hospital in Bangalore. So we did. We hopped in a cab and drove the 3 hours to the Methodist Hospital in Bangalore, where the first thing I did was stand in 5 successive queues or lines. They have their administrative processes down perfectly. And after standing in 5 lines, I was ushered into an examination room and told to sit on the examining table while I waited for the doctor. So while I was sitting there, I casually looked around the room, see what was there. And on the wall right next to me, there was a fairly large sign, and it said, "Doctor, if you're treating for snake bite, your patient has not been bitten by a cobra, otherwise he would be dead."
Oh.
I thought, how perfect. We were just talking about cobras. And shortly thereafter in came a nice young Texan doctor. This was the Methodist Hospital, and they had people coming in from all over the United States to help them out. So I'll pass the microphone back to Connie.
Thank you, Jim. Several years after that, when I was staying in Puttaparthi alone at the Sai Renaissance Hotel near the ashram, I walked downstairs and out into the front lobby of the hotel. I was very surprised to see about a dozen women standing on top of the chairs and sofas in the lobby. They looked very startled and pale, and they weren't moving. They weren't talking. They were just holding their sari skirts up while staring at the floor. "What's going on?" I asked. "Why are you standing on the furniture? Are they washing the floor? Why are you looking so scared? Why is everybody standing on the chairs and sofas?" A woman beside me hissed, "There are 2 6-foot cobras loose in this room, and the cobra man has gone to get a thick stick to kill them." "Oh, I see," I said, levitating up on the sofa with her. "Well, be quiet," she said. "Well, can cobras jump up on the furniture?" I whispered. "Yes, they can jump 8 feet or more," she said. "Don't talk. Don't move. Just listen in case they're underneath our sofa. Focus on your breath. Be quiet." So, of course, I did. And then, a few minutes later, a thin, short man came striding into the lobby. He was barefoot, turbaned, and he wore a short-sleeve cotton shirt and a white dhoti hitched up between his legs and tucked into his waist. He said, "Don't worry, madams. Now I will get them." And then for a moment he seemed to be psychically feeling out the room to see if he could sense where they had gone. Were they under the chairs and the sofas? Were they in the desk at the registration section of the hotel lobby? Where were they? Finally, he went striding confidently over to the hotel registration desk. He opened a drawer, and out jumped a cobra higher than the man's head. Whoo, like that. "I got him," he whispered. Whap, whap. Next, he opened a drawer, a file drawer, and out jumped another long cobra. Whap, whap. "It is finished," he said, and he triumphantly draped both dead, long, 6-foot cobras over his thick, long wooden staff and marched out the door with a bit of a swagger past all of us ladies who were clutching our dresses. And then we let out a collective sigh of relief. "Oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, we all chirped gratefully. "Yes, wonderful job, sir. Thank you, sir. Wonderful job." The cobra killer turned around and said, "Ladies, cobras can come out of their nests under the buildings and hotels after it rains, and also when there's a lot of construction, as there is now. When you see building and hear a lot of noise and construction, look out for cobras. Also, ladies, don't walk alone at night. They like to lie on a warm road, and if you don't carry a torchlight, you could step on them. Danger! Danger! Yes, yes, danger. We'll be careful," we all murmured. Well, since there was another week to go while I was on that trip, I remember that Sai Baba came walking along my last day in Darshan, and he stopped for just a moment and looked at me very intently with his eyes boring into me. And then he asked, "When are you going back to America?" "I am going back today, Baba, in an hour." "No, don't go today, leave in the morning." Then he glided gracefully by, and I rationalized to myself that I really needed to get back to Bangalore, which was 3 hours away, before dark, in order to get a good night's sleep before standing in long airport lines for the 36-hour flight. And besides, there were lots of robbers, highway robbers on the roads, and they liked to stop cabs rented by foreigners and steal their money, their luggage, their various valuables. So it was important to only travel in the daytime. I collected my bags and put them in the cab after darshan, and vaguely recalled that during the week several people had said to me, and I was brand new to Sai Baba, that if Sai Baba directs you to do something, he's not casually suggesting it. He's directing you to do it. He expects you to do it. But I was thinking, well, now why would he tell me to stay in the ashram for another night? It didn't make any sense at all. My tickets were for the next morning. I had to leave now. An hour later, I found out why he had said that. As I was quietly sitting in the back seat of the rented cab with Babu, the driver, roaring along the narrow curving road about an hour out of Puttaparthi, we approached a hilly curve. To our mutual horror, a passenger bus passed a truck in our lane, and the only way to avoid a head-on collision was to swerve off the road toward a steep, rocky cliff that looked over a very deep, rocky ravine. "Baba, help us! Save us!" I yelled out. The bus and the truck went roaring by as we came to a stop at the cliff edge with the two front tires of our cab hanging off the cliff in midair, dangling out in space. "Madam," Babu, the driver, said softly, "this is the plan. Don't move. I will reverse. You pray." "Good plan," I whispered. "You reverse. I'll pray." Well, I was resolved I wasn't going to die in a crumpled up cab at the bottom of a remote ravine in India, so I decided to pray and affirm at the same time. And I mentally shouted, "Baba, Jesus, Mary, Archangel Michael, angels, help, help. Please come quick. We're hanging off a cliff. We can't get out and push because only half the car's on the ground." Now, meanwhile, Babu was gunning the engine. Burn, 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 trying to get some traction in the back tires. Burn, burn. Meanwhile, I was affirming with Baba and his invisible saints and angels, "We can do this. We will do this. We're going to do this. We will do this." I had total focus and resolve, and so did Babu. Finally, the tires caught in the earth, bumped over some large rocks, and we went flying backwards onto the highway, hoping that no vehicles would suddenly come over the hill again before we could turn around and proceed on the trip to Bangalore and the airport. Oh, they didn't. I whispered to Baba, "You know, You know everything. You were trying to save my life when you asked me to leave tomorrow. Thank you for this grace. I'll never, ever disobey you again. I realize that your suggestion is really a command. I'm very sorry. Very sorry. Thank you for saving us. Babu kept scrutinizing me in the rearview mirror. Your Baba has saved us, madam, and your Jesus too. I was also praying to them, even though I am Muslim. They are very powerful. From now on, I will put a Sai Baba photo on my dashboard. They saved us. Yes, Babu, they saved us, and we're very thankful. It was a miracle for sure. There's only one God for all the religions, all the faiths, all the people in the world. He's our Father and our Mother, and He loves every single one of us, even those that don't know about God. Are you okay, madam? Yes, Babu. I'm very happy, very happy. You too? Yes, madam. Also very happy. This job is very dangerous, as you can see, but I like it. I like it. Today, I'm a happy man. As we draw this program to a close, we're going to mention some helpful resources. First of all, we'd like to show you 3 book titles of very good books that you might like to read in order to practice the skills we're teaching in these various workshops. Of course, we're teaching many different types of skills, but first of all, I'd like to mention the first book that we have a sign for. The Power of 8, Harnessing the Miraculous Energies of a Small Group to Heal Others, Your Life, and the World, by Lynn McTaggart, who also wrote The Field and The Intention Experiment. There's another one, too, we especially like, and that's The Little Book of Big Potentials by Melissa Joy Johnson. The subtitle is 24 Fields of Flow, Fulfillment, Abundance, and Joy in Everyday Life. And then an old favorite of ours, which we've used countless times in the past many years, is Restoration of the Human Organism Through Concentration on Numbers by the very famous healer and author Grigory Grabovoi. Now, this book is a collection of healing codes, thousands of healing codes that you can use immediately. Now, I would like to say that Spirit has directed me to give you some healing code numbers because so many people are finding that they can use these. Oddly enough, the first one is for pneumonia, which we can understand. Pneumonia in English is spelled Pneumonia. And the healing code number is 4814489. The next one is for leprosy. Oddly enough, leprosy is rampant in Central America and also in Africa, as we know, and in India. Leprosy in English, since there are so many foreign speakers watching this, leprosy is spelled Leprosy. And the healing code number of Grigory Grabovoi for leprosy is 148543294. 148543294. And you can simply write the healing code in ballpoint pen on the client's foot, calf, thigh, or arm. There are many ways you can use these numbers, which he tells about in his book, which is a catalog of numbers, but we have found that this works wonderfully when experimenting with it. Rewrite it when it fades. For example, if a person takes a shower and the numbers fall off, make sure they write down the numbers on a piece of paper, and then when they fade, they can redo them. The vibration of the healing code numbers does the job. Everything is vibration. Everything has frequency. And the power of numbers as frequencies to shift and heal disease right out of the body is extremely powerful. We've used these Grabovoi codes for many, many years with people in comas and with people who had many, many physical, mental, and emotional ailments. And they worked very fine. Someone was dying recently in the hospital who had pneumonia. He only has one lung, and I asked him to write the number for pneumonia on his thigh, which he did. And then he was able to come back to good health to the surprise of the hospital staff. I also prayed and did long distance energy work on him every day. It was God who healed him. He just uses each of us as his instruments or vessels. The Father within does the works in each of us. Now, as I said, it's surprising that I was asked by Spirit to give the leprosy number, so perhaps there are people out there that can use it. We are working with you on countless countries, in countless countries and on 5 continents. Now, this reminds me that a nurse friend of ours who has passed over to the other side worked in the Whitefield Hospital in India successfully using mashed papaya, fresh mashed papaya, on leprosy wounds for her many leper patients. She was a nurse from England. She would cleanse the wound, spoon on the mashed fresh papaya, and then she would change the gauze dressing, wrap it around, and change the gauze dressing every 3 days. I had sent her a magazine article that described how health workers in Africa had had great success using mashed papaya on their African patients and suggested that she try the idea. She wrote back it had worked very, very well every single time, and that the local people were bringing all of their relatives to the little clinic to meet the magical doctor lady from England. "Oh, no, 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 God has healed you, not me," she kept saying. "You must thank God, not me. He's your father and your mother, and he loves you. God did it." Our precious moments have fled by once again. We've enjoyed serving you and wanted to thank the Lord and his company of heaven for loving and blessing you this day. Remember to stand strong in your divinity and to press in deeply to him within, asking for your next step in service is in his plan of world uplift through each one of us. We can each reframe these chaotic times and be thankful for them instead of complaining about them. And also remember, too, that there are some things that we do not have any control over, especially the chaos and upheaval that is happening right now. We can have an effect through our prayers and decrees, but if something comes up that you feel is overwhelming, you can just tell yourself these 4 things. This is all God's stage play. Number 2, I can't do anything about this. In other words, I'm not in charge. God knows the plan. He hasn't told me. Number 3, therefore I will not let this disturb my peace. No. Number 4, my peacefulness affects everybody and everything around me. Remember to say continually, I am divine, all are divine, and consider again taking the wonderful online course, Master the Mind. And now, in conclusion, Namaste, Sai Ram, Shalom, and goodbye for now, you lovely divine